What's up? I'm Nikhil from dopemotions.com and welcome to this brand new After Effects tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to create a really cool looking slideshow animation using some really cool techniques. So without any further ado, let's get straight into After Effects and get started. Alright, so here we are in After Effects. So let's start by creating a new composition. This is going to be our main comp. So let's rename this to main. I'm going to keep it caps. What the heck is wrong with me? Anyways, main composition 1920 into 1080, 30 frames. Let's make this up 60 frames and 10 seconds should be good, and hit OK. Okay, so here we have our composition. Let's make some room right over here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is create a media placeholder. So let's create a new composition. Let's rename this to media, where we can drag our image or video, whatever that you want to use. So I'm going to hit OK and drag our image into the media composition that we created, something like this. And let's go into the main comp and let's drag in the media composition just like so. There we have it. And then what I'm going to do is select the pen tool and let's set the stroke to around 500 pixels and create a shape which looks something like this. Something like this. Now it depends on what kind of a transition or a look you want to go with. So I'm going to go with something like that which I showed you guys in the example, but you can of course create different shapes as well depending on your personal preference. So something like this, as you can see. And let's rename this to stroke. And then what I'm going to do is go into the contents and add trim paths. And then we can animate the trim path just like so. Pretty cool. So let's set this to 0. And go at the very beginning. Create a keyframe on the end property. And let's go to around, let's go maybe 2 seconds. And let's set this up to 100. So now we have something like this. Pretty cool. Let's select the keyframes, hit F9 to ease those keyframes. Pretty nice. And now the cool stuff is to make it look more, kind of a brush stroking effect. So what I'm going to do is add an effect called roughen edges. It's a pretty cool effect and you can do a number of cool things using this particular effect. So the first thing that I'm going to do is set the edge type to rusty. And let's increase the border to around maybe 65 should be good. Yep, looks nice. And also I'm going to play around with the edge sharpness to maybe, let's make this around 5 just to make it look even more sharper. And let's see what we can do. Maybe decrease the scale a bit, somewhere around there. And also I'm going to increase the complexity to 10. So we have even more detail on the edges. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this effect. So hit Control D to duplicate it. And let's change this from rusty to cut. Okay. And let's play around with the border again. Maybe I'll just bring this down to 30. Something like that. And bring down the edge sharpness to, let's go with 1.5 maybe. That would look good. And bring down the scale to around 30. Pretty nice. So now you can see we get this really nice effect. We're getting there. Let's play around with the stretch width or height. So let's bring this up to maybe 16. And for this one as well, I'm going to bring this up to, let's go with maybe 25. Okay, this is looking really nice. Maybe it is a bit too much. I'll just bring this a bit closer, maybe somewhere around 15 should be good. And for this, I'm going to go with maybe 12, something like that. Okay, this is looking pretty nice actually. Let's bring down the complexity of this to maybe around 7. And yep, everything else looks pretty good. You can also play around with the evolution to create a different look if you want to. Tweak some settings just like so to get a desired effect. Pretty nice. And then what I'm going to do is set the media track matte to alpha matte. So now we have something like this. Pretty cool and simple to do. So this is the base of our complete animation. So let's pre-comp this, select both the layers and hit Ctrl Shift C to pre-compose it. And let's rename this to maybe layer underscore 01. You can of course rename it to anything that you want. I'm really bad at renaming things. So there we have our first layer. Let's make this 3D. So toggle switch and make this 3D layer. And let's create a new camera pretty quick. 24mm looks good. Hit OK. And also create a new null object and parent the camera. First of all, make the null object 3D and parent the camera to the null. So this is going to be our cam control. So let's rename this to cam underscore control. And select the layer, and I'm going to push this back in in the Z space a bit, something like so. Maybe somewhere around there looks good. And then I'm going to create some copies. So hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. So now we have 3 copies. And I'm going to select the second one. Push this a bit back in Z space. Select the third one and push this even more back. Something like so. So if I go into the top view, you can see they're distributed in the Z space, something like that. Let's hide the top one for now. Or maybe I'll just see the bottom one. And let's add Venetial blinds effect. So let's increase this up, maybe set this to 45 degrees, looking really nice. As you can see, pretty cool. You can also play around with the width if you want to, so create something like so. Looks good. And I'm going to add a hue and saturation and bring down the master saturation all the way down just like so. You can also play around with the brightness and something like that. Then I'm going to select the hue and saturation, hit Ctrl C to copy it and paste it on the second one, Ctrl V to paste it up, turn this on so we have something like that. Then I'm going to displace this a bit, maybe let's see somewhere around there, and increase the brightness. Maybe set this to 0. Pretty nice. And set this one to 0 as well. I think it's a bit too dark. Okay. This is looking pretty good. Maybe displace it a bit more. Let's turn this on. So now we have something like this. As you can see, really cool effect. Yep, pretty nice. Now what I can do is I can duplicate this one again, hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. So now we have the bottom copy. Let's change the color so we can see it more properly. Maybe something like a lavender color. And I'm going to get rid of the Venetial blinds for this and push this back even more in the Z space. And let's scale this up. So maybe something like that. And let's turn on the collapse transformation. That's not going to work this time. So what I can do is let's leave it right over here and go to the top view. And I'm going to push this really back in space, something like so. Okay, pretty good. Let's select the cam control and select the position maybe. Let's check out the complete position. Pretty nice. Let's go into rotation properties. You can see we get a little bit of parallax. Pretty cool. So let's set in the desired position, maybe something like so. Just take your time to create a really nice camera angle that you want. So let's see, maybe position it somewhere around there. So now we have something like this. Pretty nice. Let's scale this up even more to maybe 220. And I'm gonna place it somewhere around there. Just like so. Something like that. Pretty nice. Let's go into cam control and hit R. Let's create keyframe on the X, Y, and Z rotation. And let's go to, let's say maybe 3 seconds, I guess. Or maybe let's go to 1 second actually. Or let's go to 2 seconds and 30 frames and set everything to 0. So now we have something like that. Also for the position, I'm going to hit P to bring down the position property. Create a keyframe, drag that keyframe at the very beginning. And let's place it in the center. Just like so maybe. So now we have something like this. Pretty cool. Maybe I'll just position this in the center just like so. And also I'm gonna add a curves adjustment and make it a bit darker, just like so. Also let's copy the curves effect and paste it on the Venetial lines and also on the second layer, that is this black and white layer, and I'm gonna make it a bit lighter. Now it's looking pretty much messed up. Hit Ctrl Y to create a background pretty quick. Let's add it and put this back. Let's bring down the opacity of the background one just a bit touch, maybe 25% or something like that. Should be good. Yep, looking pretty nice. And let's add some drop shadow to this to give a bit more depth to the scene. So let's increase the distance maybe and increase the softness. Bring this really high, something like so. You can see we have some really nice depth into our scene. So Control C to copy the drop shadow effect and paste it on this layers as well. So hit Control V to paste it up. So as you can see, now we have some depth into our scene. As you can see, pretty nice. Let's select the cam control, hit U, so we can see all the keyframes. Select the keyframes, hit F9 to ease those keyframes. Go to graph editor and make sure you're working in the edit speed graph and not in the edit value graph. So let's select this and drag this handles just like so, holding shift just to be a bit more precise. As you can see, maybe I'll drag this somewhere around there. Let's see what we have. I think it's not looking that great, so maybe I need to tweak it a bit more. Like so. Let's see. Okay, this is looking pretty nice. Maybe a bit more on. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Let's add some scale animation as well, kind of a zoom in effect. So what I can do is select the P for position, or one more thing that I could do is let's create a new null and let's rename this to zoom and parent all the layers to the null, but before that make it 3D and parent them to the zoom. And what I can do is go to maybe 5 seconds, hit P to bring down the position properties, and I can play around with the position to create a zoom in effect. So let's create a keyframe right over here. Let's go back in time and maybe I'll just zoom this really out, maybe something like 120 or something like that. Let's drag the keyframe right over here. So now we have a little bit of zooming effect, not effect but the animation, zoom animation. As you can see, looks pretty nice. Also I'm gonna add a new adjustment layer and let's rename this to OP for optics compensation. It should be actually OC for optics compensation. Anyways, optics compensation, there we have it. Let's set this to reverse and increase this up really nice and high. Looking pretty good. Let's go to maybe 5 seconds. and set this to somewhere around maybe 35. Should look good. Create a keyframe, go back in time, and let's set this to around 20. Hit U so you can see the keyframes and drag this right over here. So now you have a little bit of optic compensation as well, as you can see, looking pretty nice. So let's go ahead and create our title. So it's pretty simple. It's basically the same kind of an animation that I'm going to go with. So let's create a title, composition, hit OK. Let's go into the layer 1 and copy the stroke. So hit Ctrl C to copy it. Go into title, Ctrl V to paste it up. There we have it. Oh, turn this on. There we have it. Let's scale this down to maybe 60% or maybe 50 or 40. 40 looks good. And let's type in our title. So let's type in, you can of course type in anything that you want. I'm just gonna type in brush reveal. And maybe I'll go with a Montserrat font. Make this maybe bold. Bring this closer to maybe 20. Make this even a bit bigger. Something like so. And let's align this into the center. Something like that. Pretty nice. Let's bring down the layer of the text below the stroke layer. And let's change the track matte to alpha matte. There we have it. Let's change the color of the text to white, or you can of course set it to any color that you want. So now we have something like this. Pretty cool effect actually to play around with. Nice. Let's go into the main comp and let's drag in the title composition. Let's make this 3D and bring this a bit more ahead in Z space. And also let's turn on collapse transformation so we don't lose any pixels. So we have something like that. But then the 3D is not gonna work, so I think I need to use it the same way as this. And scale this down a bit like so and place it in the desired position. So I'm gonna place it somewhere around there and add the drop shadow effect. So hit Ctrl C to copy the drop shadow and paste it onto the title. Maybe this time I'm gonna make it a bit less softer, something like this. So drag this behind. So we have something like this. Also, what I'm going to do is parent this to the cam control, I guess. Oh, no, to the zoom actually. So it also animates. And you can see we get this really nice, a little bit of parallax effect as well. And you can add more and more elements to this. So let's pretty quickly add a new adjustment layer and add a vignette. So add V for vignette. Add a curves adjustment, bring this down. Select the ellipse tool and just double click on it. So it's going to create an ellipse like that. Invert this up and feather this up to around 500. So there we have a really nice vignette, and you can control it using our curves adjustment. Something like this. Pretty nice. Let's increase the opacity of the background one, maybe 35. Looks good. And there we have it. Really nice and interesting. And of course you can go into the cam control, hit AA and play around with the depth of field was on. Turn this off, maybe make it on and increase the aperture and the blur level and create some really nice camera, movements, or adjust the focus. As you can see the difference as I adjust the focus distance. So pretty cool thing you can do with this kind of an animations. Yep, looks really good, but I'm gonna set this off for now. And let's see what more we can do. Maybe we can add a new adjustment layer and add some curves to this. So let's add CC, rename this to CC and add a curves adjustment and just make this pop a bit, just like so. Pretty cool. And for the text, one more cool thing that you can do is Control D to duplicate it, add a fill to this and maybe display this a bit. So you have something like this, and also make sure to put the fill or the drop shadow below the fill. Maybe change the color to something like a blue, something like that. Maybe make it a bit lighter. And there we have it, really cool looking slideshow animation, which you can use to create number of different effects. You know, the technique is very simple and useful, and the main idea behind the tutorial is to teach you guys the technique and not the exact same thing. I don't want you guys to create the exact same thing that I create or show in the tutorial. Make sure to grasp the technique that I show and to create something of your own, and hit me up on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Share your artwork. I would love to see your guys' artwork, and you know, it inspires me to create more and more tutorials when I see people using my tutorials to create something really nice and unique of their own. So yep, that really motivates me. And all in all, that's a wrap for today, and let's end this up. So that is a wrap for today. I hope this video was helpful to you guys, and if it was, make sure to subscribe, comment and like, and I will see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care and thank you so much for watching, guys. And if you're wondering about this new office space, then yep, this is my new office slash house slash studio, you can say. And if you guys are interested to checking out the complete vlog, then make sure to subscribe to my vlogging channel, Life Looks Like. The link will be in the description down below. So yep, that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial, and I will see you guys in my next video. Till then, take care. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and don't forget to stay raw, stay creative.